Hello, everybody. Dr. Dan again, Destination Health minicast. We got cut off, Naomi.
I
I don't
know.
think I don't think anybody wants to talk about poop today and
You know
stool
what? They're
analysis.
probably afraid after my last week's topic of having prompts. They're probably afraid of what I might pull out.
I think you know what? I did ask you that. I was a little afraid. I was a little afraid myself, but that's okay. But welcome back, everybody. Dr. Dan, and I'm here with Naomi, my partner in crime, my co-host for the Destination Health minicast. We're going to be talking about, we'll make it nicer, stool analysis. What's the importance of stool or poop?
Let's just
Okay.
call it what it is.
Let's just call it for what it is. You know what? And I think it's important. I know that when I get a patient in, I have a whole section where I'm asking them about their stool or their poop. And I just got out of a consultation and we were discussing the patient's stool habits and why it's important and so forth and so on. So I think it's extremely important because there's a lot of information that can come from your stool. Isn't that correct?
It's absolutely correct, and I think it's a conversation that's not being had
Right.
at with your doctors. It really isn't. I mean, think about when was the last time your doctor talked about it. When was the last time you really talked about it? Yet it
Right.
tells you so much about your health, Dr. Dan, that I feel like it should be a common question. Like when you're filling out those questionnaires, like mark
Right.
on the chart, like what are you, like I always talk about the Bristol poop chart, and my girls know about this.
Right.
But they're probably abnormal teenagers to know about these things because most people don't know what that is.
And it's, I always ask, sink, float, foul smelling, it is extremely important because you know what we're doing is we're looking at the gut microbiome when we're looking at the stool. And there's a lot of bacteria. There's the good bacteria, there's the bad bacteria, and we want to know what's going on because you know what, if you got bad bacteria in your stool, you can get skin conditions, autoimmune disorders, immune system balances. We were talking about the immune system, right, last
Mhm.
week, and we're talking about inflammatory disorders. So it's extremely important to discuss stool. So tell me a little bit more. I'm a little afraid if you have a prop, but go right ahead, Naomi.
I don't have
All
a
good.
prop, but I just think there's some different tips and things that we can discuss. Is first of all, what is a healthy poop? What should it look like? I don't
Go
know if
ahead.
you
I
use
think
that with
that's important.
your patients
Right.
or not, but like the Bristol
Yes.
poop chart, which shows 7 different stages, I guess you could say,
Right.
and where you want to be, and you want to be a 3 or a 4, and what those look like. And I think that's really important to go. And maybe Dan, what we should do afterwards is drop a link to one of these charts so people can see what it looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a
Um,
great idea. We'll put that into the show notes. Yes.
because that's really important to know what it's looking like, because that's going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you if you are not digesting your fats, if you're
Oh,
eating
yes.
too much inflammatory foods, if you're dehydrated. It's
Yes.
all these different things are going to tell you so much about what is basically in the toilet.
Yes. That is a great way to put it. And when I order a stool analysis, I'm looking for SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is related to the bacteria. I'm looking for intestinal disorders, irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disorder, intestinal permeability. I'm looking at the short chain fatty acids, definitely autoimmune, celiac, RA, even neurological conditions such as MS, Parkinson's disease is important. It also helps me out with their metabolism, if you will. I'm looking to see what that stool analysis says because, obesity, metabolic syndrome can be related to what's going on systemically, which we can find out a lot of information when we do the stool or the poop analysis. So it is very important, even the overall nutrition, vitamins and minerals and so forth. So it's very important because it's part of the elimination process, right?
It is. And,
It's part of,
And that is really important, is also how often are you going?
Correct. So tell me, what is healthy?
Everyone's body is different. Ideally, you should be going at least once a day.
At
Um,
least once a day,
at least
correct.
once a day. And also, if you can be regular, meaning like having a regular time, timing is
Right.
actually really important. And I think because we live in such a busy society nowadays, Dr.
Hmm.
Dan, we're not allowing time in our schedule. And I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but like
Right.
you think about, you get up in the morning and it's like, if you don't have that routine, your body's not going to get used to it. Like
Right.
this is sort of comical, but I remember growing up, my dad used to be like, I got a 7 o'clocker. He had like had appointments, but his body was so used to it.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that's really important. And it, not saying it always has to be in the morning, but if your body just gets into that normal routine, that's what's really important, is
Right.
because we
Sure.
have to eliminate. And so for me, like being a breast cancer survivor, and mine was estrogen positive, and that's really estrogen dominance is a huge issue
Right.
with just people in general these days. And if you are not eliminating the waste and the toxins, they're
Right.
circling back into your body.
Right.
And
Sure.
I'll hear so many times people be like, well, I go twice a week. And I'm like thinking to myself, oh, God forbid. Like, I can't even imagine what you're feeling like if you're not going,
Well,
like on a daily
right.
basis.
That not only is that unhealthy to just go twice per week, because toxins are building up now in your
Hmm.
body, and you have to eliminate those toxins, and the reason why we do this is to eliminate in part the toxins from our body. And I agree with you. For myself, it's relatively quick when I first get up in the morning, and it's like clockwork. It's either just before or just after my breakfast, and I think that's important to do. But you know what, I do have patients that come in, and sometimes they say to me it's once a week, and now we have to really work on that nutritionally to help them out, because that's really not very healthy, Naomi, at
Well,
all.
exactly. And I think, it goes back to, what are you putting in your body? Are you getting enough water?
Right.
Most people are, magnesium is a
Right.
great thing to add, that mineral. And most people are magnesium deficient these days.
Yes,
We're
they
not
are.
getting it from our soils. And if you're not eating the vegetables, which we need the fiber,
Right.
which then it's just one of these things, it's a whole circle. So it's like looking at your diet, so important, of what food are you consuming. My mom would always say 9 is
Right.
divine. Try to have 9 fruits and vegetables. And I think what the standard,
Right.
I don't know if it's 5 or 7, but my mom always says hit 9 or above. And then you're getting that plant fiber that is needed.
Yes, you know what? That is extremely, extremely important. And you mentioned fiber, and fiber is extremely important for many, many different reasons. It helps clean out that gut, if you will. It's just so important for cholesterol and triglycerides, hyperlipidemia. If you have a bad, if you have high cholesterol, it's also important. It slows down the aging process of your brain, brings down inflammation. So fiber is just so important. So you can tie all of this in together, and that's what we do, is we motivate, we educate, and we inspire when we're doing this. And it's extremely important, fiber.
Yeah.
We could also talk about probiotics and prebiotics when we're talking about gut health and we're talking about stool analysis. Eating kimchi, eating sauerkraut, and taking them as a supplement could be very important.
Yes. And having, a great thing is having fermented foods, as long as you're not having issues with high histamines and stuff. Eating
Right.
fermented foods right before you actually eat, because that's going to help with the digestive enzymes.
Right.
That a lot of people are suffering with that. So sometimes I even look at, do they need a digestive enzyme before we even go into the probiotic?
Right. That's another great point. I like that a lot. And if the major news stations are listening to us right now, we have this great rapport, and we can come on and we could talk about any health topic that you want. because we love to do this, right, Naomi?
We do. We do. We can talk all day, Dr. Dan, any day.
Yes, we can. So tell me, what else can you tell me about poop?
So the position that we sit on, most of us have Western toilets.
Yes.
And what is it? The rest of the third of the world is still squatting. And so the
Right.
position of how we are sitting on the toilet is actually not good for the rectum. It can kink it up. So there's things called the squatty potty. It's a little stool that shoves up against. You can take a garbage can. You can do anything that actually elevates your feet and your legs. And it's
Right.
a better position.
Right.
I think that's really important, is having a good position, especially if you're straining, because then you can get hemorrhoids and all those other problems that come along with it. So I think
Right.
position is important. We talked already about timing, making time in your day, and your
Yes.
body will get used to it as well. I think that's another thing, is schedule. If you're not one that might take you longer, then just, I guess, pencil it in on your iPhone. Like, all right, this is going to be my time, just to sort of
you get that notification. It's time. It's time.
Yeah.
Listen, for everybody listening, it is very important to eliminate once per day, at least. It is extremely important.
Yes. And I think also, we were talking about plant-based and fiber, and I will warn people, like, nuts and seeds are great to have, but if you already have an irritable bowel syndrome,
Yes.
you don't want to add those in there, because that can
Right.
just cause more havoc in your system. So just be careful with those things.
Right.
So what else? Exercise. Exercise is key.
Tell me about exercise.
Well, it's just the movement. You're going to get everything moving in your body.
Right.
And it's one of those things that I know when I travel, my husband laughs at me, but if I'm up in the morning, I want to get going because that's my routine. And I think it's very common
Right.
for people when they're travel, they get off their schedule. And so he'll know what I'm doing. I'll be like pacing back and forth in that hotel room, trying to get some movement going. A lot of times people will use coffee. I don't think coffee is a great way to get your system going. Having water first thing in the morning,
Right.
warm water is key, actually. That
Right.
can be more helpful than anything. But
Yes.
so many times people will be like, oh, I need a cup of coffee to go. Well, then I would say examine what your stool looks like after you have that coffee, because it could be actually causing more inflammation in your body than actually helping.
So when you say examine it, what exactly do you mean?
That I don't mean like digging around in the stool, like in the toilet.
Right. I
saying,
wanted to.
If you visually look, what does it look like? Does it
Right.
look like a long, smooth snake? I mean, literally, it's like you have to talk.
Right. And listen, we're not being disgusting here. We
No.
are talking stool analysis, so it's all good.
And so, but if it's like little pebbles, like almost like little rabbit turds, that means you're dehydrated. So
Yes.
making sure you're having more water or liquids in your diet. That also might mean you need some magnesium or
Yes.
healthy fats. Healthy fats are a great thing that we need, because that's actually going to coat the intestines to help move everything along.
Yes.
So raw or organic butter is a great thing. Olives are great. Avocado, coconut oil. Those are all great healthy fats to have into your diet. Also making sure protein is a part of your diet, because that's
Right.
really important as well, because it's going to help the muscles in there as well. And
Right.
you need to have protein. Once again, make sure where you're sourcing it from. Wild caught fish, great source of protein.
Yep.
Any
Yes.
eggs, as well as where you're sourcing your meat from. I don't buy factory farm meat. I get from
Right.
the local farmers, because that's really important as well.
Yes, that is
So-
extremely important. And avocados is one of my favorite foods. Nice
Yeah.
fiber, nice omega-3 fatty acids. Some patients don't like those, but I always add them in here and there so that they can get that, they can get the benefits from it.
Well, and I think there's so many ways to have it nowadays. You can make an avocado pudding.
Right.
Chocolate pudding. I've done that for my girls in the morning. You can, put it in your smoothie. You can blend it in other things.
Guacamole,
So
you can make your own guacamole
yes,
dip. You can literally put it into your salad too, right?
yeah,
So that you have other, veggies that are in there.
yeah. Another thing is the color. I think color says a lot as well. And you probably can, obviously, you do a lot more of this on a regular basis. So you probably can talk about like the color of things, or if there is almost like either mucus in your stool
Yep.
or like the grease. It's almost like a grease around it, like almost like that pizza grease. Like if you pick up a piece of pizza and you see the grease floating.
Eating a lot of fatty foods, and you're going to have an irritable bowel type of a situation at that point. So you need to cut back on those bad fats instead of having those healthy fats. And you want it to be a homogeneous type of a brown color, which is normal, healthy. It sinks to the bottom, and as you said, it has that snake-like look, if you will.
So speaking of floating or sinking, if it is floating, does that mean you're not digesting your fats? That's what I've been told.
Yes, you're not digesting your fats appropriately. You're eating way too many fats in a diet. So, you have that with an irritable bowel type of a situation. Younger, you're eating a lot of pizza. You're in junior high school or something like that, and you think you're invisible and you're eating fast foods. You'll see that rise. You'll see your stool rise in the
So what do you do in order to make it sink? Like if you don't think
well,
you're having a high fat diet and your stools are still floating, what do you add, like a digestive enzyme? Or
you can add a digestive enzyme, you can add the prebiotics, you can add the probiotics. And what I specifically do is I'll order a food sensitivity test because I want to see if there's any inflammatory reactions that are going on to foods that would make that situation occur. So I'll do an elimination type of a diet, all right, where I'm taking out those foods that you're sensitive to so that we can put in the foods that are better for you, and you'll be able to digest them a lot better than the ones that you were before.
and with
That's
those
very important also.
and with those testing, can you also test to see if like your body maybe not digest fats as well as someone else?
Yes, you can. You can order different types of tests. You can order a stool analysis, and it'll tell you if there's a lot of fatty, situations going on, without getting disgusting in there, fatty situations that are going on.
So, I mean, I think about in my early, or I guess mid 20s, I had to go in and I did a stool analysis, which was very, at the time I was like, what? But it came back and they're like, oh, everything's fine. Yet I always was like, this isn't normal. And there was no additional information, Dr. Dan. And I think about like now looking back of all the different things that have led up to me being diagnosed with breast cancer, what could have been done along the way. So if your body is not doing, like, when do you say, all right, we need to do this test? When do we say we need to do this test? Like, how do you know? Like, because a lot of times people say that is in the normal window.
Right. Well, what happens is that, when you're eating, you're gassy, bloated abdomen, having difficulty eliminating, or if you are eliminating, is it floating? Is it very foul smelling? At that point, something is not right, and we need to start taking a look at that. Listen, you can have a metabolic syndrome. You can have you can be overweight. You can have a high cholesterol, triglycerides, high LDLs, and low good cholesterol, which is your HDLs. Those are also great times to go and take a look at your stool to see what is going on. If you need the digestive enzymes, if you need the prebiotics or the probiotics, if you need to change your diet, those are good times to do it in addition to.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm regular. I'm on clockwork. So thank goodness. But I feel for those people that can't. And I think about after I had children, and anytime, you're going under, I feel for those people that aren't able to eliminate on a regular basis.
You have to eliminate on a regular basis. You don't want those toxins building up in your body at all. So, Naomi, tell me, we have a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to discuss?
You know, I think a lot of times people are confused about like what we talked about probiotics, prebiotics. I don't think people know where to go to get good ones. I mean, I know I have a line that I love
Right.
that I use, but where should people just be buying stuff off the store shelves?
No, they shouldn't be buying something off the store shelf. And you know what? I think we're going to have a podcast next week. Where should we purchase our supplements, our vitamins, our minerals, our prebiotics, probiotics? Where should you be purchasing them? Where should you get them? I think that's a great idea. I think I like that a lot, because a lot of people, Demo's behind me. I'm at Demo's house. I did a consultation. Say hi to Demo, everybody. Demo says hello. we go raw and live here. There's no doubt about it, right? So, you know, so I think that is a whole conversation. I like that.
I think that's a good idea, because it's overwhelming now. You look at the market, you go,
it's very overwhelming.
You go to Costco and you can buy whatever. And sometimes people are like, well, I just bought this bottle that's yay big of fish oil.
Right.
And I'm like, oh God, please don't. Like, no.
I think this is a great topic. I think this is very important. I think that this is something we can really delve into and discuss for a very long time. I think that's a great idea, because the prebiotics, the probiotics, the digestive enzymes all help out, you know, with your stool. And I think we could pick up right from there, Naomi, and discuss that. And then we can just go from there and discuss what it is that individuals, where they should be, you know, purchasing this. Because I will tell you, in my office, I have them bring in everything that they're taking. And I want to know what they're taking. And a lot of times I'll go, oh, or, oh, no, because that is extremely important. And we can help guide people, because again, you want to eliminate on a regular basis. And if you're not taking the right stuff, and you're just taking filler, you're buying it off the shelf somewhere, that's not such a good thing.
You're absolutely right. Well, I'm wishing everyone the best of luck this week. I hope you eliminate multiple times.
Good luck on the elimination. And I hope it's fruitful and it's all good. And you know, every Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Naomi and I, Wellness Wednesday worldwide, powered by Oh My Word podcast, Destination Health Podcast, Wellness Wednesday worldwide. Naomi, it's always a pleasure.
Likewise, Dan. Thank you so much.
And I'm sure offline we'll talk a little bit more about poop and we'll settle some things. But I want to thank everybody. Great information today. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Naomi, I'll talk to you later. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.